There we go. Okay. So we acknowledge that we are gathered on Treaty 1 and Treaty 2 territories, and that Manitoba is located on the treaty territories and ancestral lands of Anishinaabe, Anishinaabe, Cree, Ojibwe, Dakota, Oyate, Denisulain, Ojibwe, and Nehitaliak. We acknowledge Manitoba is located on the homeland of the Red River Métis. We respect the spirit and intent of treaties and treaty making and remain committed to working in partnership with First Nations, Inuit, Métis people in the spirit of truth, reconciliation, and collaboration. Be it resolved that the minutes of the August 12th, 2025 regular meeting of council be approved as circulated. Motion by Councillor Drohan, seconded by Councillor Brown. Call for the question. All in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that the agenda be adopted as presented. Motion by Councillor Maxwell, seconded by Councillor Drohan. Call for the question. All in favor? Carried. Okay, we're basically right on time here. So we've got the first public hearing at 5:05. It's 5:04, but I'm going to start to read it now. Be it resolved that the meeting be recessed for a scheduled public hearing on the following matter: conditional use 008-25-C and variance order 010/011/012-25-C. Motion by Councillor Drohan, seconded by Councillor Brown. Call for the question. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay. The purpose of a public hearing is to receive representations from the applicant and any persons who wishes to make them. We will first hear from the applicant, then from those who wish to make representations, starting with anybody who wants to speak in favor of the proposal. At the end of the other presentations, the applicant will have an opportunity to respond. At the end of each presentation, the members of council may ask clarification from the speaker on any fact or issue, but will not enter into debate. Person speaking must address the chair. If you have questions that you think the applicant should answer, they should raise them in the presentation to the chair. The applicant will have an opportunity to respond to questions when other presentations are finished. This is also not the time to question members of council. Under the Planning Act, the purpose of the public hearing is for council to receive representations, and a discussion or an argument involving members of council is inappropriate. There should be no interruptions while the person is making the presentation. Order must be maintained. Okay, so first we'll hear from the applicant. Is the applicant here tonight? Come on forward and have a seat and state your name and
Right here?
up here.
And I just want to make note that the public notice had a bit of an error in the legal description, so that's been changed.
So yeah, my name is Blaine Rock. This conditional use. And thank you all for taking the time to review this with me. The application is simply the next step from the resolution you already approved in July 2023. This fulfills council's earlier approval of the non-farm dwelling is listed as AG zone. Variations are small and practical. Farmland remains in agriculture use. No negative impact on services or traffic. In closing, this is really just a housekeeping step to finalize what council had already supported. I respectfully ask for your approval.
Okay. Council have any questions? No, pretty straightforward. Yeah. I don't have any questions. I think that's good for now then. We'll ask if anybody else in the audience wants to speak in favor of the of the application? Okay, having none, does anybody in the audience want to speak in opposition to the application?
I would like to ask some questions. Is that all right?
Sure.
My name is Laura Claire. We live right beside the land.
So,
We were not here at the last meeting because my father had just passed away. And we only got notice the day before. The letter didn't come to our mailbox until the day before the meeting, so we did not attend. So can I ask what was approved in that first meeting? What, he said this is nothing because everything was pre-approved. So what was pre-approved?
This was originally heard in 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I
The
didn't hear, I didn't know
variation
anything. So what is the variation?
The size, really.
Yeah, it's varying the size of the lots. The lots.
so
What it'll be is just the yard site being taken out of the agricultural land.
Okay,
So normally you have to have 80 acres or a few acres less depending, because I think it's the highway that made it less, but that has to be done, a variation to reduce the farmland acres.
okay, so what was agreed upon? That we could take,
From 2 years ago, well, he's asking right now for the non-farm dwelling variation part of it.
So it was a subdivision and it was approved on the condition that there be a,
in 2020.
in 2023, that there be a conditional use and variations. So it's already been subdivided, council's approved that, and now we're here for the conditional use, which is a non-farm dwelling in the Ag 80 zone, plus some variations. And the variations,
The variations are really kind
it says to decrease the site area from 80 acres to 57.45 acres, to increase the site area from 10 acres to 19.55 acres, and to decrease the site width from 200 feet to 188 feet. So that's the variations.
Okay, and council is okay with the changing of that?
It's a pretty standard,
Standard thing.
The
standard.
only reason I'm asking is, forgive me, I'm not familiar with all the legalities of stuff, so forgive me for my inexperience. But when we were here, we have been here constantly fighting to maintain agricultural land. Not because we're farmers ourselves, but because we chose to leave the city and live in rural. And ever since we bought our property 25 years ago, we're constantly fighting for that exact same location, exact same property. It has changed multiple hands, multiple times. And every time we've come, council has agreed. The last time we were here, there were several, forgive me, I do not know the year, maybe Bob knows, because I recognize him because he lives on the other side. And he's always been here. There was a dog kennel coming into that same location. Yeah, same area though. And council has decided, back then, we were told we would not have to come back into the building and fight to maintain this agriculture land. You guys assured us we wouldn't be back here to keep this, that we wouldn't be constantly fighting for traffic going down our road and all that stuff. So that is my concern, as to why I'm here today.
So the land is still to the agriculture, but he's separating his house.
Okay, so that's what this first one is,
Yeah.
right?
of, yeah.
Okay, because the other letters we received, there are different points we're gonna talk.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
My
That,
concern is that we never got a notice
2 years
about the
ago.
subdivision.
Because
And
we were
now
told-
Now we get a,
10 years ago when the dog kennel or whenever that was,
So
now-
there,
it wasn't going to be subdivided.
but now we get one for one that's already been approved.
yeah, there is no requirement to give notice of a subdivision.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there is
That's
no
why we didn't
requirement.
know that.
So
Yeah.
why did we get a notice today for the
There's
subdivision?
is a requirement for a conditional use and a variation.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that is my concern.
And it's
Because I
not,
am,
it's not our rules, that's the province's.
Right.
yeah, that's fine. No, I'm not.
Just so you know,
Yeah.
It's not us.
I have no idea. Like I said, I'm just small town
That's fine.
person trying to live in the country without, because when we first bought the property 25 years ago, we got one of these letters and we didn't know what it meant. We didn't go, and now across the road from us, we got this massive truck thing, and I'm listening to their engine retarder brakes all the time, and it pisses me off that I didn't come and fight for that one, because that's not what I agreed to when I moved out there, right? So that's what I'm saying, right? I'm just trying to maintain a quiet, sort of lifestyle. I know that's the risk when you live close to the city, but I still want to maintain that quiet lifestyle. So we're still fighting that, but no, that's fine. I'm going with it, rezoning it or whatever, not rezoning, but allowing him to change his house or whatever, but
Okay.
the other parts I will probably be back.
And
Sorry.
that's tonight,
That's
though.
fine, too.
Yes,
Right,
I'm-
so, yeah. Sorry, what was your name again?
I'm sorry, Barb and Donald Blair. I have them.
Barb and Donald.
Later.
L-A-I. Don't reverse the vowels, we're not liars. We're liars.
Yes, I struggled with that.
So you mentioned that something was revised because of a mistake.
Yeah,
Could
so,
that be why we didn't get notice till today on everything? Like we got a letter,
We only
No.
got our letters today, but, and our
It
envelopes
was
are
sent out
postmarked
on the
on the 27th.
yeah,
Stay over there.
But
no,
it's
no, that's
supposed
not
to say it was
Snellville,
27th, it's
is
Saturday,
Friday.
and today's Tuesday.
no, that, it was an error on the actual notice. It says it's 26/9/18.
And I presume the Keystone is the one that's supposed to send out the letters?
Yeah,
Okay, maybe just make note of that. We're not receiving mail or notices in
Well,
time.
we are, but they sent it out on the 27th, and if today would have been a long weekend, we wouldn't have got it, right? So it's kind of weird that they sent the information out on Friday for a meeting today.
Okay,
And I'll show you the
If you want to
letter.
see this posted, yeah, just a minute, I'm gonna find it. I left it at home, so I apologize, but
Mhm.
we have two members of the Keystone Planning District Board here, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
you want to see that? So we're lucky we got it, to be honest.
What you got?
Yeah, it's,
That email usually isn't that fast.
no,
Yeah.
And we got my letter like 10 days ago.
And that came
For you
from,
that you're the
that came from
Who came days ago?
Roth,
Rob.
Yeah.
does council have any additional questions? Okay. So be resolved that the public hearing be closed at 5:16 and we'll return to the meeting. Thanks very much. Motion by Councilor Maxwell, second by Councilor Cohen. Call for the question. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, we're just a minute off here, but be resolved that the meeting be recessed for a scheduled public hearing on the following matter. Conditional use -005-25-C. Yeah, we need a move by Councilor Cohen, seconded by Councilor Maxwell. Call for the question, all in favor, and that's carried. Okay. So this is in regards to the Healing and Activity Center. Is the applicant here? Okay. Does anybody here want to speak in favor of the application? Does anybody here want to speak in opposition to the application? Okay. Be it resolved, the public hearing be closed at 5:17 and we return to the meeting. Motion by Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Drohan. Call for the question. All in favor? Carried. Okay. So we're early. So we're just gonna jump around on the agenda here because that wholesale vehicle dealership is not scheduled to be heard until 5:30, so we're gonna kill some time. Reports of committees. So first one, I'll speak to that. Received an email from the base in regards to their requirements to close the gates and make the implement access control onto the base. Initially, they wanted to close the north gate and have the south gate open 24/7, but they have reversed that decision. So the south gate will be closed from 1800 to 0600 on 7 days a week, except for weekends. I believe it's closed all weekend. And then the north gate will remain open 24/7. What's that?
The North Gate?
So anybody entering and exiting the base will now be required to provide government photo ID. If you're under the age of 18, you won't be required to have ID. Any military traffic will continue to use South Gate. So that's their big trucks and stuff like that. Anytime they're out on exercise, if they come to the base and it's closed, they're gonna have to still use the South Gate. So they won't be going through the Spruce Woods community to get onto the base. Yeah, so that is that one. And also the zoning and bylaw kickoff meeting that we had on the 21st of August with Landmark Planning. We met with our chosen vendor to review our zoning bylaw, and we had a kickoff meeting with them. This process is going to take a number of months to complete and have several public engagements, things that are coming to be in other municipalities and other communities. They'll be updating and modernizing our zoning bylaw for the RM. And this process is supposed to, likely going to take about a year to complete. Like I said, at which time there will be several public engagements over that period of time, asking for residential input and any trends that people have seen, so on and so forth.
So the Keystone Planning District just approved the development plan, and the next step is to have the zoning bylaw match the development plan.
There we go, yeah. So the things that are missing from the development plan that are in the zoning, yeah, they'll be.
Because, yeah, it was updated, the development plan was updated.
Mr. Chairman, would you like me to do a report on the Transportation Committee as well?
Sure.
I have 9 minutes. Okay. We had a Transportation Committee meeting, and some of the items are going to show up further down in the meeting, but I think it's worthwhile mentioning. We had that meeting on the 21st as well. The last step in the renovations, fixing up of the building, the paving of the circle up here was brought up, and we had a tender, and so that will come up later on in our meeting agenda. We also talked about the permanent bridge closure on 102 and some correspondence from the landowner that is going to look at some other alternatives, so we're biding our time to see what comes of that. We spoke about municipal roads on private property and looking at a strategy to try and record them at the very least and maybe look at some options. Also, coming up on the agenda later, we're going to be tendering for a bridge inspection, hopefully to start this fall yet, so we can see what the life of our bridges are and how much money we've got to set aside to make sure they're still passable. So that will be, hopefully we'll put that forward and have a company take a look at them, give us an idea of the life expectancy and what has to be done. Hopefully nothing immediately, but we want to update our asset management plan to show the value of our bridges and what it's going to cost to keep them. And I think there was also a discussion about a tree on road allowance that we resolved to help out with and have removed or have all the way once it's been cut down. That was it.
Thank you. Okay, be it resolved that council accepts the communications as presented. Motion by Councillor Joanne, seconded by Councillor Brown. Call for the question. All in favor? That's carried. Accounts. Be it resolved that the payroll accounts be approved for payment as follows. Direct deposit payroll of August 21st, 2025. $20,384.45 for a total of $20,384.45. Motion by Councillor Maxwell, seconded by Councillor Drohan. Call for the question. All in favor? That's carried. Be it resolved that council approve the list of accounts for expenses for checks numbered 12,988 to 13,033 for a total amount of $361,342.51 plus online banking of $3,642.99. Be it further resolved that council approve the July 2025 council indemnities and expenses for a total amount of $4,391.18. Motion by Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Drohan. Call for the question. All in favor? And that's carried. We're going to do 9.1. Be resolved the bylaw 1729-2024B being a bylaw to amend the heavy truck route bylaw 1729/2024, which classifies vehicles according to weight and for prescribing routes of travel within the municipality be hereby read a second time. Motion by Councillor Drohan, seconded by Councillor Maxwell. Any discussion on this one? Second readings.
Yeah, I believe this is just the addition of a short section on the north of the area.
Yeah, on Merson Road. Yep. Okay, call for the question. All in favor? Carried. Third reading. Be it resolved, bylaw 1729-2024B being a bylaw to amend the heavy truck route bylaw 1729/2024, which classifies vehicles according to weight and for prescribing routes of travel within the municipality be hereby read a third and final time. Motion by Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Drohan. Call for the question. All in favor? And that's carried. So 9.2, the organizational bylaw. We are going to be tabling that one because we're going to send it down to committee for final review before it gets brought here for approval. Council's okay with that? Yep. So we will be having a committee meeting on that. When are you back from?
Anytime in October. Great.
Okay.
I'll be back October 2nd.
council makes a commitment then to review the proposed bylaw and the previous one prior to that, so we can have a good discussion about that. Still a few minutes, so I'm going to go to some general business here. Whereas 3 local contractors were invited to submit a quote based on an on-site review with the Public Works Supervisor for paving the front parking lot of the municipal office this fall. Therefore be it resolved that council accept the recommendation of the Transportation Committee to accept the lowest quote from Zenith Paving for $38,584, with the funds to be borne by the Infrastructure Reserve. Motion by Councillor Maxwell, seconded by Councillor Drohan. Any, you just reported on that in your committee.
It was on the committee. One thing I should mention is that we got the quote that's pending their availability. So I mean, we're hoping that we'll get done yet this fall, right? They committed to it, so are they not able to? Hopefully we do it at the same price and we're really good. So.
Call for the question. All in favor? That's carried. Sorry, Holly, I'm just kind of all over the place here. I'm going to do 10.3. Be resolved that council requests an additional extension from September 30th, 2025 to June 30th, 2026 for the DFA claim on the 2022 spring flood event, site number 2 and site number 9 bridges due to design challenges and construction schedule delays. Motion by Councillor Drohan, seconded by Councillor Brown. Any discussion on that? We're at sub 2 and 9 again.
Okay, well, one of them is the McCray Bridge. And the other is the culverts that I think should be done, aren't they?
I think they're supposed to be done.
It's not on the website anymore, so I'm expecting that's done.
Yeah.
So it's
They're
only the
basically
one-
done, yeah.
Yeah, it's only the one that's initially
Yeah,
started.
which they haven't started yet.
No,
3 years being out of service.
yeah, but the expectation is to start this winter, all right?
Yeah,
They're
late
gonna do
this
it on
fall.
their time.
This fall.
Call for the question. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, it's 5:30. Okay, where are we? Be resolved that the meeting be recessed for a scheduled public hearing on the following matter, conditional use -009-25-C. Motion by Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Drohan. Call for the question. All in favor? That's carried. Right. So, are there any is the applicant here? Come forward and state your names, please.
Blaine Rock is my name. And again, thank you for considering this conditional use. I'm a seasoned automotive professional. I am not looking to set up an actual dealership. I want to stress that point. In Manitoba, and I've managed dealerships in multiple provinces and multiple countries. Manitoba does not have a way of distinguishing on the MPI side between a wholesaler and a dealer. It's the same license. I need the RM's written permission to get a dealer license in Manitoba. But there's no distinction, right? But those are two very distinct business ideas, right? Being a broker versus being an automotive dealership. My plan is to gain the access of a dealer license, at which point I will be purchasing vehicles from the dealer, like the auction websites. I can set up the purchases from those auction websites to drop ship those cars at another client, local dealership. My plan is to drop those cars there, do the full reconditioning process, merchandising, selling them there as a consignment through them. The car dealer license and conditional use is really more of a logistical license on paper. I'm not looking to put up signage. I'm not looking to change anything as far as the lay of the land. I quite enjoy my privacy. I quite enjoy, I got dogs. I don't want to have you retailing cars out of my barn. It's just, it wouldn't be appropriate. The cars that I'm targeting, I mean, it's not even remotely like the example you could say, well, down the road is, another used car dealership. That's not even what I'm going after. Those are, cash buyers. The vehicles that I'm targeting and looking to turn are in a different price point because they will require financing, at which point it makes sense for me to have this type of logistical, I'll call it a logistical wholesale license to move these cars to another dealer. Because you just can't start a dealer. You can't actually get the banks involved. It wouldn't work. This is the best path that I can see to execute on what I need to do. And then while we're talking about it, just because it ultimately does tie a little bit into what that first conditional use was about, I'm a young guy. The farmland is really farmland. My thought process behind all that is right now I've got one title. If I subdivide and I paid my current mortgage down, I can go back to the bank, refinance. If the bank allows me to leverage off that farmland, and farmland goes up very nicely every year, I'm looking to hold that farmland, but leverage that farmland to put it into used cars because that is my profession. That is what I know. So I'm not, just to, help the neighbors understand, I'm not looking to actually develop. I'm not a developer. I'm a car salesman, right? I want to leverage my equity to put it into vehicles, to move those vehicles to support my family. And that's, there's like outside looking in, I don't think anyone would even know what I'm doing, truthfully. But yeah, so it would be a professional, low impact business that contributes to the local economy, and I respect council's decision either way.
Council, you have any questions for Mr. Rowe?
I guess one question, so you have any vehicles coming out to your property? There will be any?
They would be zero. It doesn't make sense for me to do it because I'm already somewhere else 10 hours a day. Why do I want to come home and meet them and sell a car, right? It just wouldn't make any sense. And again, I've got 2 dogs, I've got kids, I've got family. I don't want, that's why I got the dogs to keep people out.
So there would be no traffic problems.
There would be zero traffic.
That's the problem.
Yeah, like it doesn't even make
Noise
sense.
problems, nothing like that is.
It wouldn't even make sense for me to bring the car to my house first because I got to go through the reconditioning process. And it's all about time. It's all about turn. It's what you want to get it through as fast as possible. So get it to where it needs to go. And that's where it all gets done at another place. They've got the infrastructure. My son works there. Details there, right? Yeah, they wouldn't even. The only way one of my vehicles comes to my property is because I'm driving it home, and then it goes. Like it wouldn't be.
Okay, well, that answers a lot of my questions because I assumed that you were going to have storage of reconditioned vehicles on your property, that there would be trucks coming in and out.
Dropping them off and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
It doesn't even make sense for me to do it because it's as soon as I get there, logistically now I've got to run those cars and grab someone else. And my oldest kid just has a learner, so it can't use him. We got 5 kids in the household, so my wife's running around like I'm going to do a package. You know what I mean? It wouldn't make any sense if I'm going to buy a car through the online auction. I'm going to drop it to where it needs to go, where I'm ultimately going to make the deal to move all of my cars, right? So if I had, 10 cars at any given time, they're all getting recon there, they're all getting merchandise there, they're all moving there. That's my plan, right? And really, if this was BC, I would actually be applying for a different type of license. It would be a broker's license. Manitoba doesn't have that distinction. Dealer license is a dealer license, right? And so to gain access to the auction, it's just called a dealer license out here. But you and that's where it's like you kind of have to pick a lane. but Manitoba's a little behind on that, right? But that's my plan.
Anybody else on council, any further questions? Anybody in the audience wish to speak in favor of the application? Okay, does anybody here in the audience wish to speak against the application?
Yes, we would. No, forgive me, I'm not trying to be unneighborly, I'm really not lame, don't take it
No, it's
personally.
okay.
Say
Is it
your
all right
name.
if I just come up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Say your name again, please.
We're not mean people, but we've been down this road, like I said, many times. The last one were the Fredericksons. How many times did we fight about the dirt bikes? It was only gonna be one, it was only gonna be one, it was only gonna be one dirt bike, but then it was constant dirt bikes jumping, constant. The reverend, the listening to the, and you guys all agreed that he could have his friends there. Well, Friends was his entire dirt biking community, so we were constantly listening to the revving of the engines of their motorcycles constantly. So that's where I'm very concerned. So what exactly is this? What is he, because I'm assuming by what you said, I can't ask him directly. Can I ask you?
Yeah, you can ask through.
No, okay.
Get mad, don't worry.
Oh, no, I'm a nice, we're nice people, we
It's
are. So what exactly, so you have to dumb it down, because I don't know dealerships. So what is it exactly you're asking for this, like this one?
In order for me to buy cars
Right.
from an
From an
auction,
auction.
I
You do this too,
I need a
That's
dealer
a different way
license,
I do it.
yes.
right? I need a dealer license.
Okay,
Right.
so why can't you do that at your dealership that you have?
Well, I don't own a dealership.
Oh,
He has to have approval by the council for where his home is.
okay, but you
But
just,
he
you
can't
told
have-
us though that you have a place where you can take cars.
But I don't own that place.
Oh,
And I would really be trying to build up my own business under my own umbrella, right? To then consign those cars there, right?
so,
Go back to the license. When you apply for the dealer's license, he needs a civic address,
Which I get.
Okay.
where he lives.
so when,
So what's our guarantee?
that
He
there
is saying
won't
that
be
he's not
like,
gonna have cars there, but
that's my fear.
Well,
That can be part of the conditional use.
it's part of the
because
condition.
Frederickson
You only
could also
wholesale.
have his friends,
Okay,
right?
so that's what I'm asking Shane.
Right,
is
is it,
that-
am I correct in that? He can only wholesale out of there, is what he's
So
asking
what's
for. right?
wholesale
Yeah.
mean? What's the definition of wholesale? He can hold cars
Can he
there?
have cars there? Can he have 5 cars? Can he have 20 cars?
And
If I have 5 cars there though, it's family over for a get
Oh,
together.
yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
we get that.
Well,
We
and-
could have the same
Yeah.
thing. Scenario, you know,
Yeah.
but I'm talking in a whole.
You're worried about
What's-
cars going in and out and in and out and in and
Yes.
out.
Well, and we're also worried about, okay, today it's only 5, but if he grows his business,
Which it sounds like
it's
he's
30, 50,
successful
or
at.
100 cars, right?
Where's council
But if
prepared
I
to
had the
draw
capital
that
to
line?
buy 100 cars, right, and have them, it's moving the cars. And I don't have, like, it wouldn't look good having 100 cars to sell it there. It sounds great. Come on into my barn and I'm gonna,
No, I know.
pencil you a deal, just, right? And the problem is, just because you have the cars, everybody comes to you requiring financing 90% of the time. And I've looked into this. I couldn't go and, even if I had the money to go set up a store and I had the capital to have the cars, getting the banks on today is almost impossible. It's almost impossible unless you're a franchise. So I'm like, I will never have that. The only way I could have that is to go buy his business and leverage off of the infrastructure he's already got. So I already know, like, my end game is, like, because really, if I could have 300 grand to play with, I got 10 cars at 30 grand each. They don't, I need them gone. I need to turn that. So it actually makes sense for them to get out of there.
And I understand that, but I asked council to seriously look at where we're heading,
And condition.
where we're going. Because I have been here, like I told you, many times. We were told 15 years ago, 10 years ago, when the dog people came and wanted to put in a dog kennel there. You guys assured us that we wouldn't be back here, that there was no way you're gonna subdivide. Now I hear that he's already been approved for subdivision. Subdivision means entitlement of reselling that, which means that can be rezoned into another household.
That's a little trickier to rezone something like that, like.
Okay, but that's what this is where I'm seeing
No, I
things, right? Like, this is how I'm understanding, how I'm feeling. It's one step, right? So in 5 years, it's another step. Somebody else comes along, new council members,
And
I'd like to rezone, or not, maybe I'm using the wrong words, Shane, maybe I'm saying rezone, but it's not rezone, you know what I mean? We were assured that agriculture land in Cornwallis area was going to maintain agriculture land.
the big
So
thing-
I don't want to see in 5 years, and like I say, Glenn, don't take it personally, because it really isn't you, it's just my location also, right? Because I
The
live
biggest
there.
thing I think with what we're worried about is, and Bob knows about Frederickson's motorbikes.
Yeah, we've talked,
We phoned
wives.
the RCMP, we phoned Bob, nothing could be done. Nothing was done because they couldn't do it. They tried and he fought it. And we had to put up with some days 200
I couldn't even sit in my
motorcycles.
backyard,
motorhomes, campers coming in,
but these were friends, so it was okay.
right?
According to council's, right, agreement to
So we're
allow
just
them.
worried the snowball effect and there's nothing that can be done after it's approved.
So we're just
So that's our
asking
biggest-
council to
To really,
make sure you
there's some,
word it, that the conditions maintain, that there's not going to be,
all the traffic coming, all the,
Yeah, I have no problem with all the conditions you need to put on it to make everybody feel good, and I'm not looking to violate any of them, because my plan is clear, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. And if it grows, like, great, it'll grow up there.
So
and that's,
the traffic, if there was traffic, the traffic would be coming off of number 10 highway in your laneway, not off of Savislack Road. For which would it be?
There actually wouldn't be traffic based on my plan.
No,
this.
No,
plan.
it's the-
But
I think
this-
it's,
But-
if there was.
but what I'm saying, if there
all your
was,
traffic will be coming down your lane.
if there was any traffic, it would be coming off of number 10 highway in your tree laneway.
Yeah, I mean, anyone that comes out there usually comes in mine,
Yeah.
we don't really come down Zavaslack.
Yeah.
We could, but nobody.
And you're directly on number 10, is that correct?
Yes.
Well, he has two driveways, really.
Yeah, I've got-
Yes,
I've got
that's
an
his
easement.
spots.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Like, and I talked to Scott, the neighbor, too, because his concern was like, well, if you start something, what's going? And I explained it, like, here's my plan. He goes, like, I'm not even gonna be coming in your way or my way, it's going there. He goes, okay, well, that actually, yeah, I don't care then.
so if we made a condition that there would be no storage of vehicles,
That's fine.
that would be fine, and it would be okay for whoever's giving the license. If we had that as a condition, they wouldn't have a concern over that.
The
There
NPI,
would
I
be-
would assume.
There
No,
would be
no,
no-
you just need, yeah, it should be fine.
And no development of any building,
Yeah,
Like-
we put that in there. That's,
you know what I mean? Because my other part is, our water tables where we are really getting shallower and shallower. I don't know if you noticed it, Bob? But we have, and I'm worried that with the subdivisions becomes another building, another entity of some sort. And then there comes another well that's being drilled, more access to that water table. And I don't know, I'm trying to preserve our way of life.
Yeah. like-
You know what I mean? So I don't
Are you
know.
thinking of another dwelling to go along? with
Well,
that?
yeah, well, that's what I'm
That
worried
we
about.
can't control, that is actually the province's control. If they want to drop it down to 2 acres and he desires to do so, that's his
But
right, and that's
who's-
the province's
Who,
legislation. that-
who does that though? Like-
Who would allow him to do it?
Yeah, like, is,
It's already
so
laid
if
out in the
you-
province, it's everywhere.
so if you allow somebody to subdivide,
Yeah.
right?
That's the province, yeah.
Okay, so, but when we were here before, I thought we were told that agriculture land was going to stay agriculture. So how do you dwell on that?
It
But-
depends,
Without
they have
permission.
clusters, like small clusters, like you
sorry,
guys are
like I
in a
said,
small
forgive me,
cluster,
I'm-
they like to keep-
I don't know all
See,
the
like
rules.
like Blaine's yard site, it's a yard site. It's been there
Oh, been here forever.
for
Yes,
100+ years.
Yes.
So nothing is really going to change. No farmlands coming out of production.
They-
No, nothing.
They wouldn't want his, I don't know how many acres, I can't remember off the top of my head, of rest of his land, agriculture, like the Department of Agriculture for Manitoba would want to keep it that way, and they'll stop us from trying to ever let him divide it, and planning will stop immediately, because they'll circulate anything he wants to do to agriculture, and they say no, and that's all there's to it, and you can't do it.
in 150 years, when the city of Brandon is creeping on that, on that,
I
Yeah,
recognize
yeah,
that.
it'll be,
Yes,
it'll be
It'll be
zoned
different.
residential.
Yeah,
that's right.
But I'm more.
But I won't be there then.
yeah.
I think we're, like, we don't want to wreck his livelihood either,
No.
right?
We're not.
So I think if the conditions were that they use that road,
Mhm.
right, like his own driveway and stuff like that, I think that's,
That's our concern. I'm just saying, those are our concerns
we're
for
just
the
so worried
area.
because the truck department only started with one truck,
And
right? Now he's got 200
Yeah.
and the Jake breaks
So
every
that's-
day and then Fredericks had said 2
That's what we're
motorcycles
worried about, right?
and it turned
Is
out
the
to
snowballing.
200, right?
So, like I said,
Yeah,
we're just coming as low land on the totem pole here.
Well,
And if he needs,
if it went-
if he needs a car drop there, if
Extremely
the only
well.
rights is he
Like,
can
if it
have
went
cars,
really
right?
well.
I'm not
And
worried
this is
about
the
that.
idea of why I want it under my own umbrella, not just go buy cars for him. Like, if I had my own
Right.
cash putting it in there, I'm building up his business. Whereas if I had
We're
enough
trying to
business
get your
built
name
up,
going.
And his
Yeah,
business
it's-
isn't coming
it
out.
means something on paper, and really, if it went really well, I would be building something
Because
somewhere else.
that's-
It's not appropriate there.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Well,
that's a
that's
house, that's where
was
we want.
my
That's where
concern
we're
when we
getting.
saw this, was that there, because we know where your
Yeah.
cars are going. Those cars would be then coming out and you'd be changing locations or expanding it there. So
I understand.
You know, it actually.
that's what I was
Like,
concerned
the
about.
the way
So-
farmland increases, I'm better off to not touch it, and if I rezone it, it's just more tax dollars, and then you'd never get the rezoning, so I'm like, why touch it? It goes up 10% a year,
Yeah.
right? And again, I'm just trying to leverage it, right?
So I apologize, council.
No,
Maybe I
no,
should have
it's
just
good.
introduced myself to him or knew about this sooner, but we literally got the letter today. So it wasn't like I could go to my neighbor and knock and say, what's this all about, right? So then I wouldn't have had to come or whatever, right?
No, that's good. No, that's good.
I just want you to know what our feelings are, so please do right by us and
Okay,
know our feelings.
anybody on council have any additional questions?
I have one.
Oh.
May not have. Can you sell me a car?
Right
Well,
now,
I mean, it's, when you get that license, you would be able to sell cars.
legally, yes, because there's no distinction, right?
That's the
Within
reason I'm
Manitoba.
asking that is, I mean, we have to somehow, if it's strictly wholesale, then you're not selling me a car retail, you have to say, no, I can't sell it. Or if I own that, sell it
Yes,
for it.
see, and this is the problem, it's not even really, like, I don't know if you would have the authority to put that, like, you could say it, right, but within
Your license
MPIs,
gives you
yeah,
that.
within MPIs, and that's where I'm like, I've worked in other provinces, there's a distinction, right? Because if I was a broker, which is really what I'm asking to be, it's a broker's license. There's a dealer license, there's a broker license.
Yeah.
You
Can a
know,
broker sell cars? To
to-
individuals?
only to dealers,
Just to
dealer to dealer,
That's what I'm
right?
getting at here, that's what. you know,
But there's no distinction in Manitoba,
Yeah,
they say,
understood.
you can, if you
Yeah.
want to, sell him a car.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's no distinction.
Exactly.
All right. Thanks very much. Be it resolved that the public hearing be closed at 5:50 and we return to the meeting. Motion by Councilor Brown, second by Councilor Jolliffe. Call for the question. All in favor? And that's carried. All right. Are we ready for 10.1? Is that where we're at?
Or do you want to deal with the conditional use and variance first
That one? Okay.
suggestion?
Is there anything that? Look here. Whereas the applicant Blaine Roque and landowners Blaine and Charlotte Roque of the property legally described as Lot 2, Plan 47-862, 53050 Provincial Trunk Highway 10, roll number 55-100, applied for approval of a conditional use order under Part 5, Table 5-2 of the Cornwallis zoning bylaw number 1664-03-2016 as amended in order to allow for non-farm dwelling in the Ag 80 zone by way of subdivision, and whereas after careful consideration of the application and the representation made for and against, the council approves conditional use 008-25-C.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Maxwell. Call for the question. All in favor? That's carried. Whereas the applicant Blaine Roque and landowners Blaine and Charlotte Roque of the property legally described as Lot 2, Plan 47862, 53050, Provincial Trunk Highway 10, roll number 55100, applied to vary the application of the zoning bylaw number 1664-03-2016 under Part 5, Table 5-2, in order to increase the maximum site area for a non-farm dwelling in the Ag 80 agricultural zone from 10 acres to 19.55 acres. Therefore be it resolved that after careful consideration of the application and the representation made for and against, council approves the said variation order 011-25-C. Motion by Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Drohan. Call for the question. All in favor? And that's carried. There's a couple of them here, folks. Whereas the applicant Blaine Roque and landowners Blaine and Charlotte Roque of the property legally described as Lot 2, Plan 47862, 53050, Provincial Trunk Highway 10, roll number 55100, applied to vary the application of the zoning bylaw 1664-03-2016 under Part 5, Table 2 of the order to reduce the site width of the Ag 80 agricultural zone from 200 feet to 188 feet. Therefore be it resolved that after careful consideration of the application and any representation made for and against the variation, council approves the said variation order. Variation order 012-25C. Motion by Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Maxwell. Call for the question. All in favor? And that's carried.
Did we do 11.3.1, Terry?
11.3.1. Oh, you're right. Missed that one, sorry. Whereas the applicant Blaine Roque and landowners Blaine and Charlotte Roque of the property legally described as Lot 2, Plan 47862, 53050, Provincial Trunk Highway 10, roll number 55100, applied to vary the application of the zoning bylaw number 1664-03-2016 under Part 5, Table 5-2 in order to reduce the site area in the Ag 80 agriculture zone from 80 acres to 57.45 acres. Therefore be it resolved that after careful consideration of the application and any representations made for or against, council approves said variation order 010-25C. Motion by Councillor Maxwell, seconded by Councillor Drohan. Call for the question. All in favor? It's carried. Boy, 11.4, is that it? Were we gonna do anything on that?
It's up to you. I don't know. Would you?
Can we read the preamble out and then we can decide for a condition?
Whereas the landowners Blaine and Charlotte Roque and the applicant Blaine Roque, the property legally described as Southeast 34-919, Lot 2, Plan 47862, roll number 55100, applied for approval of conditional use order under Part 5, Table 5-2 of the zoning bylaw number 1664-03-2016 in order to allow for a vehicle wholesale business in the Ag 80 zone. Therefore be it resolved that after careful consideration of the application and the representation made for and against, council approved the said application conditional use -009-25-C.
For a condition, usage of laneway, I guess, off of number 10 highway, if there's any,
Business activity.
pardon me,
Business activity.
if there's any activity for, yeah, business activity.
Will we gonna say something too about the storage of vehicles?
No storage of vehicles. On site.
Before we discuss those, shouldn't the motion be made?
Yes. With the conditions that it's being prepared.
Okay, motion by Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Maxwell. And now we can discuss it. So Councillor Brown made a condition that any business-related activities would use the lane off Highway 10 to the north of the north side of the property.
It's right in the middle of his property.
Oh,
Eastern,
sorry.
eastern access.
Yeah, my mistake, sorry. And Councilor Maxwell added a condition about no storage of vehicles on the site. Do we update? Okay. I'll read the motion again. Whereas the landowners Blaine and Charlotte Roque and the applicant Blaine Roque of the property legally described as Southeast 34,919, Lot 2, Plan 47,862, roll number 55,100, applied for conditional use order under Part 5, Table 5-2 of the zoning bylaw number 1664-03-2016 in order to allow for a vehicle wholesale business in the Ag 80 zone. Therefore, be it resolved that after careful consideration of the application and the representation made for and against, council approves the said application conditional use 009-25-C with the following conditions: that usage of the laneway off number 10 highway, eastern access of property, is that if there is any business-related activity, and no on-site storage of vehicles related to the business. Okay. Motion by Councillor Brown, second by Councillor Maxwell. That works for everybody? Yeah. Call for the question, all in favor? And that's carried. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
All right. Did we do 11?
11.2 is the one I think we're doing.
Yeah, that's what I was bringing up here.
10.1,
What's that?
10.1.
We resolved that per the recommendation of the Transportation and Finance Committee Administration, prepare a request for proposal for a municipality's bridges condition investigation and report to determine the maintenance and replacement cost schedule required for the capital asset management plan.
I will make that motion.
Motion by Councillor Maxwell, second by Councillor Drohan. Again, this is something that you reported on your committee report. Call for the question, all in favor? And that's carried. 5?
Do you want to do 10?
10?
10-1, 10-2, and 10, or
Oh.
10-1 and 10-3? No, you did 10-3,
10. There we go.
10-1.
Okay. Whereas the applicant Brandon Islamic Center Incorporated and landowners Mohammed and Ravina Abdullah of the property legally described as 1-2193, rule number 61,000 in the rural municipality of Cornwallis, property applied for approval of a conditional use order under Part 5, Table 5-2 of the Cornwallis zoning bylaw number 1664-03-2016 to allow for a place of worship and community center in the Ag 80 agricultural zone. And whereas the property is within the area designated agriculture area in the Keystone Planning District Development Plan Bylaw 02-04, and whereas a public hearing was held on August 12, 2025, and whereas City of Brandon does not object to the application, but has advised that it has water and wastewater service capacity limitations, and therefore it will not extend and provide water and wastewater services from the city to the property. And whereas after careful consideration of the application, representations made for or against the application and the zoning bylaw and development plan requirements, council approves the application with the following condition. Condition number 1, water and wastewater services shall be provided by the property owner. Oh, sorry, correction. Water and wastewater services shall be private and provided by the property owner. Condition 2, prepare a traffic impact study and carry out improvements required by the municipality at the property owner's cost. Condition 3, prepare a drainage plan and carry out improvements required by the municipality at the property owner's cost. Condition 4, the buffer of trees currently located on the property along the east and south property lines shall be maintained in place. Number 5, site plan approval be obtained from the municipality prior to development of the place of worship and community center. And number 6, enter into a development agreement with the municipality dealing with issues arising from the conditional use application, including construction of off-site services such as roadway, drainage, and active transportation, construction and maintenance of on-site water and wastewater services, access, drainage, and lot grading, parking, buffer and landscaping, fencing, waste storage and disposal, signage, and yard lighting. Motion by Councillor Drohan,
Sorry, can I ask you a question?
No.
Okay.
seconded by Councillor Maxwell. Any discussion?
The only issue I have is the possible additional traffic. But we're taking care of that in our conditions, and it's something else that'll be determined in the developer's agreement. So, and we aren't taking anything out of agricultural land because it's already a yard site, just that it has never been rezoned.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I'll be in favor of this.
Okay, I will add as well that there was a lot of information came in on this particular one at the hearing. And, I mean, it's a tough decision to make. You're not sure there's being so many comments, but a place of worship is not a permitted use, but it is a conditional use in Ag 80 according to our zoning bylaws. And the only opposition, I think we've covered off on all of the opposing and the reasons for it. So as a council, I mean, I'm gonna support it because it's something that fits into what we've got. We can only make our decisions based on the rules we have.
I agree with you. Like, there's lots of country churches, lots of country community centers. This is no different than any of that. I support it as well. Call for the question. All in favor? Carried.
Is your question about whether you want to be here or?
With me?
You guys, yeah.
Well, I
Is
just
this
wondered.
his property that we're talking?
No.
Oh,
You're done.
sorry, I thought you were
guys
still
are done,
talking
just so
about
you,
his
I don't know
stuff.
if you realize not maybe.
I was so.
You guys are all done, you can leave if you like.
Okay.
His other stuff has nothing to do with you guys.
Where is this located?
Oh, my goodness.
First and Patricia.
First and Patricia.
Oh, I
You
was
know,
so
you know where
confused.
Golden Acres is?
Oh,
Okay, guys.
Yes.
Okay, folks.
Okay,
Sorry,
that was a previous
I
public
apologize.
hearing. Yeah, that was another public hearing.
10.2, we are going to table to the next meeting. We're going to discuss that in camera. 10.3 is done.
So we can read.
Okay, we're at 11.6 now, Polly? 11.5?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you want to table that. We really have,
I would move that because we had no representation.
And no
we have to
information.
get more information before we make a decision.
I agree. Yeah.
That's a motion I would make, if that's-
Okay. Okay, so 11.6, be it resolved that council accepts the City of Brandon's August 18th, 2025 letter requesting collaborative regional partnership by joint meetings and direct the CAO and the acting reeve to respond with a thanks. Motion by Councilor Maxwell, second by Councilor Drohan. Call for the question, all in favor? Carried. 11.6.1, be it resolved that council and the CAO be hereby authorized to attend the Grow Brandon Summit to be held in Brandon on October 16th, 2025 from 1:30 to 4 p.m. Further, be it resolved that the all applicable registration and expenses be authorized in accordance with the council remuneration bylaw. Motion by Councilor Drohan, seconded by Councilor Brown. Call for the question, all in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that council approve a grant application on behalf of the Brandon Hills community to the Brandon Area Community Foundation for improvements to the Brandon Hills Ball Diamond for the requested amount of $5,672.75.
Motion.
Motion by Councilor Brown, seconded by Councilor Maxwell. Call for question, all in favor? Carried. Whereas Rail Safety Week is to be held across Canada from September 15th to the 21st, 2025, whereas 261 railway crossing and trespassing incidents occurred in Canada in 2024, resulting in 68 avoidable fatalities and 58 avoidable serious injuries, whereas educating and informing the public about rail safety, reminding the public that railway right-of-ways are private property, and enhancing public awareness of the dangers associated with highway rail grade crossings ensure pedestrians and motorists are looking and listening while near railways and obeying established traffic laws. Will reduce the number of avoidable fatalities and injuries caused by incidents involving trains and citizens, and whereas Operation Lifesaver is a public/private partnership whose aim is to work with the public, rail industry, governments, Indigenous communities, police services, media, and others to raise rail safety awareness, whereas CN and Operation Lifesaver have requested council adopt this resolution in support of its ongoing efforts to raise awareness, save lives, and prevent injuries in communities, including our municipality. Therefore, be it resolved that Cornwallis Council support National Rail Safety Week to be held from September 15th to the 21st, 2025. Motion by Councilor Drohan, seconded by Councilor Maxwell. Any discussion on this? I'd just like to say I have a personal friend who's an engineer on a train, and they can't stop on a dime. They really can't. And when you play chicken with a train, you're going to lose. So, yeah, this is an important thing. We'll call for the question. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay. Be it resolved that council accepts the Manitoba Ombudsman's FIPA report MO-08757 dated August 27, 2025. Be it further resolved that although no recommendations were issued as the complainant received the requested records in full, the municipality shall reflect on the analysis and finding within the report. Motion by Councilor Drohan, seconded by Councilor Maxwell. Call for the question. All in favor? And that's carried. Be it resolved that in accordance with the Municipal Act, Section 152(3), council does hereby.
Are you going to 12.1? Is that where you're at?
Yeah.
Do you want to just speak about 14.1 before we do that?
Oh,
Or
yes.
not speak about it?
Not speak about it? So we had a notice of motion presented at the last meeting for a decision that council made the meeting prior regarding some conditions that were put on a subdivision. Our conditions were not based on time, so they could have been done anytime. However, the matching set of conditions were also put on the subdivision by the government, by the province, and there's been no effort for the province to move or remove their conditions. So it's pointless for us to even address the notice of motion, and because they're going to remain anyway. So
Ours don't interfere with them moving forward.
No.
Because they do them at a later date, whereas the province, that's their determination where they want to be.
exactly. Okay. Be it resolved that in accordance with the Municipal Act 152(3), council does hereby close the meeting to the public and move in camera at 6:15 p.m. to discuss personnel, a matter that is in the preliminary stages and respecting the discussion of property can prejudice a municipality's ability to carry out its activities or negotiations, the conduct of existing or anticipated legal proceedings, and therefore further be resolved that council agree to keep in confidence all matters discussed at this closed session. Motion by Councilor Maxwell, seconded by Councilor Brown. Call for the question. All in favor? That's carried.
Good. Conditions that'll hopefully get you. He seems to clear everything up.
Yep. Take care.
Everybody, see you guys.
You're still on camera.
Oh, yeah.